Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. It is so good to be back. I have not done a live show in months. I've been busy, I've been traveling, I've been taking care of personal things, and I was so excited when I realized that I would be able to be live with you all tonight because I've missed you. I may look a little different to people who have been following me. I got rid of all of this. I am a 51-year-old woman who has decided that I want to live in a completely effortless, unmessed around with way. And so that means that I have given release to the bondage of daily hairstyling, and I love it. I absolutely love it. You didn't ask, but I'm sharing that with you. If any of you ladies, if you're thinking about it, go for it. Hair will always grow back. Your hair does not define you. Live your life. So this evening we are going to be making a soup. This is a zucchini corn chowder. We kind of look back through things we've done in the past and we weren't able to find this, although my husband seems to think that we did make it, maybe under a different name. Thank you, Furaha. Happy. Furaha, are you from Kenya? I believe that is Swahili. Furaha means happy. Is that correct? Am I correct on that? Um, So we're making this zucchini corn chowder, and I wanted to. We've spoken before about the difference between soup, chowder, and stew. Okay, so soup is something that usually you use water or some kind of broth. It's very light. You can add pasta to it. You can add vegetables to it. You can even add some kind of protein, meat or otherwise. Stew is usually a cut of meat or vegetables that are um, dredged in a little bit of flour, cooked, and then a liquid is added to it. And the slow cooking actually thickens it into a stew. Chowder, which we're making tonight, is usually made with vegetables or something else, or like a meat or a fish or something like that. And what thickens it is typically flour and cream. We're getting away from that tonight because we are simply going to use an immersion blender to thicken it up a little bit. So we're not adding anything, processed like that. We're not adding any flour. So if you have a gluten intolerance, don't worry about that. We're not adding any cream because this is a plant-based cooking show. We're going to use some plant-based milk in this. But it's a really delicious recipe. I live in Tampa, Florida, and today was 66 degrees, but I will tell you for the last week, we've been waking up to 30-degree weather. So it's been cold, and we've been getting up to like a high of 50 something degrees. I'm the kind of person who drinks hot tea year round. I drink hot soup year round. It doesn't matter to me. On a hot day I'll have it, but it's especially warming and comforting to have it on these cold nights. So that's why I thought I would share with you this corn chowder this evening. I just the other day I was talking with someone. We were just kind of lamenting on so many friends have gotten sick and they're dealing with health issues, and loved ones are dealing with health issues. And this particular friend of mine, her husband is the son of a gentleman who has 11, there's 11 siblings. 10 of the 11 siblings have Alzheimer's or suffered from Alzheimer's, and now the last one is suffering from it. So I was saying to her, I really think it has something to do with the environment and what we're eating. And she said this, and I want you all to remember this: genetics load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. When she said that to me, amazing, right? There's so many things that we may have a proclivity to. We may have, genetic predisposition to certain things. That's true. But diet makes the difference. I have said to you all that what you're eating can either heal you or hurt you. So that's the whole purpose of this cooking show, is to show you ways to eat that are going to give you an abundant life, that are going to give you nutrient dense meals that are not going to hurt you, that'll give you better brain health. There's so many things that we've introduced over time. Things like mushrooms, like lion's mane mushrooms. Those are proven to better your cognitive health. Okay? So there's so many things in the plant world that the Creator provided us with that actually can restore and heal our bodies. So it's our desire to not only introduce you to those items, but then show you how to incorporate them into dishes. So tonight's dish is a zucchini corn chowder. We have zucchini here. We have a carrot. We have frozen corn. We didn't want to use canned corn. I have a little bit of vegetable broth here. Well, not a little bit. I have vegetable broth here. Feel free to use your own broth or stock that you make at home. I have a basil, a bay leaf, and some thyme, onion and garlic, a little bit of oil, plant milk that I spoke about, and a little bit of smoked paprika. So we're going to get started here. I'm going to put this on the fire. I'm going to add our tablespoon of oil, and I'm going to drop in our half of an onion diced and 3 cloves of garlic minced. They're going right in there. And while those saute, we're going to get started on our zucchini. Make sure you can see me clearly. Let's move a few things out of the way. There we go. So for our zucchini, we're going to cut it in half. And we're going to cut that half in half. And something I will tell you all about knives. It is better to have a sharp knife than a dull knife. Because when your knife is dull, you tend to kind of overdo it, and that's when you can get hurt. So now that I've done that, I've cut it into 4. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to I'm going to just cut this into 4 pieces. I'm going to cut it into 4 pieces. And we're just going to do it just like this. You heard me talk about cutting things in even pieces, and that's so that they can cook uniformly. This is a perfect example of something. If you have big pieces and little pieces, you'll have some mushy zucchini, and you'll have zucchini that has a little bit more texture to it. Now that might be your thing. But I think it's best for them to all be uniform because they cook evenly. And like I've told you all before, it makes such a beautiful dish when that's done. So we've got one of them cut. I told you it doesn't have to be perfect, and that's good because these didn't cut perfectly. We're going to continue to cut. This is one zucchini, and this recipe really will probably feed 5 to 6 people, depending on if you want a big bowl or if you want a little bowl of soup. I'm going to take this off the fire for just a little bit because I don't want my garlic to burn. So we've got half the zucchini done, and we're going to continue to cut it in even slices, and then we chop it evenly. I would not suggest that you use a food processor for this. It will make it much too fine. You want to hand cut this. All right. We're 3/4 of the way done. And now we're going to do this last piece. There we go. And we're cutting again. Furaha, did you answer my question? Are you from Kenya? Is your name Swahili, and does that mean happy? I have a good girlfriend whose family ministered in Kenya. Yes. Who ministered in Kenya, and they taught me a song, Sabaturi Furaha, 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 Sabaturi Furaha. I do not remember the last words, but I believe that means Sabbath is a happy day. That has stuck with me for years. So now I'm going to put this back, and we're going to simply drop. We're going to drop our zucchini right in that pot. This is such an easy recipe. This is the kind of thing that you can have ready literally in like 30 minutes. So we've got our zucchini in there. Just going to stir that up a bit. I've turned down my fire. Alrighty, now we're going to do our carrot. I'm going to cut that in half. And cut this in fourths. Carrots are a little more difficult to cut, so I'm not going to complicate things. All right, that's half of our carrot. And you know what? There's no like perfect recipe. If you want to add more carrot, if you want to add more zucchini, if you want to use yellow squash, you can do that as well. All right. And we're just going to cut this. Equal sizes, equal cuts. There we go. Drop that directly in the pot. This already smells wonderful. Just going to stir this up a little bit. We're just allowing this to sweat and cook a little through. Now, depending on if you like your carrots with a lot of texture or not, I don't necessarily I like texture. I like the difference of soft things and things that are a bit crunchier. But if you are somebody who doesn't like the crunch of carrots, you like the sweetness of it and the flavor that it adds, I would add it immediately after the onions and garlic and let that cook for a little bit, and then I would add the zucchini. So after that has cooked, say probably about 10 minutes or so, then we are going to add our thyme and our bay leaf, and we're going to add our 3 cups of frozen corn. Now, I've actually purchased sweet corn because I like the sweetness that it adds. So we're just going to mix this all together. And let me show you what it looks like so far. Isn't that beautiful? That is eating the rainbow. We've talked about that quite often. Eat the rainbow. There's so much that the Creator has given us in terms of fruit and vegetables, and it literally can give you everything that your body needs. Don't believe that you have to eat meat to get protein. Don't believe it. Everything in the plant world has some level of protein, okay? It has protein without the cholesterol. So after that has cooked, you're going to stir this because you don't want anything to stick. After that has cooked for maybe another 5 minutes or so, what you're going to do is you're going to use your vegetable broth. Now, I said 3 cups. Depending on the thickness you're desiring, if you're looking for a really thick stew, you'll use less liquid. If you want a little more like a soupy texture to it, you'll use more. So I say between 2 and 3 cups. So this is 1 cup. This is 2 cups. So I'm actually going to stop at 2, but I'm going to keep this nearby just in case I want to add more to it. And so we're going to let this come up to a boil. That's what you want. You want this to come up to a boil. And after that, you're going to let it cook for like another 10 minutes or so. So far with the directions I've given you, we've accounted for about 20 minutes of time. I just want you all to see how quickly this comes together. And let me tell you, it is so good. It is something that is delicious on its own. I love a great piece of crusty wheat bread with it. You can eat it with crackers. I love wasa, like a really nice fibrous bread. You can just dunk it in there. It's so good. You can make it kind of islandy and serve it with some tostones. That's also really good. It's just a great soup. And it keeps for a good, like you can freeze it. And when you're ready, just put it on the fire and it will come together beautifully. The veggies might be a little softer, but it's still going to be delicious. So this is cooking through. It's looking wonderful. It's smelling wonderful. You could also add celery to this if you wanted to. I recently cooked for a dear friend who cannot stand celery. I thought that was really interesting. Celery is something that I often tell you all is a great way to add saltiness to your food without the salt, without the negative effects. We've talked about that. People of color in particular have issues with high blood pressure. So I try to find ways to create a lot of flavor without having to use salt. I see salt as the finishing touch, but not a central ingredient. And I think that's something that a lot of us get wrong. We look at salt as a part of the dish. I have literally watched some YouTube channels fixing some dishes, especially traditional dishes, and people will use 3-4 Maggi cubes, and they'll use, bouillon. They'll use all of these different things in one pot. And sometimes I've been like, they've literally got like 2,000 milligrams of salt in that one dish. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Because once you get high blood pressure, you're not going to get rid of it. So I would rather you add a little bit of salt at the end, use the least amount of salt as possible, use things like herbs to elevate the flavor and build layers of flavor. Just that pinch of salt at the end. Something that also incorporates flavor is when you use something like broth in place of plain water. You can use broth that is even low sodium broth or no sodium broth. So you've got all this flavor building without the sodium. So there's so many shortcuts, so many great shortcuts. So this continues to cook, and I'm not going to put this in as yet, but I'm going to show you a trick, something that I love to do. I love my immersion blender. And the reason I love my immersion blender is it's not a lot to clean up after. You can literally take it wherever you're going. You can blend something like right in the pot. You don't have to transfer it to something. So it makes cleanup a lot easier as well. So I'm going to show you how this works. So this now has been cooking for, say, like another 10 minutes. You can turn it up. You can have it on high and just really get it to a nice, like rolling, like a slow boil, not a rapid boil, but a slow boil. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I'm taking this right off the fire, and I have my immersion blender here. If you're not familiar with it, it's like a handheld thing. This comes off. Snaps right on, and you put it like directly in the pot. Move this out the way so we don't have an incident. Okay? And let me show you what things look like before we do it. Okay, this is what it looks like now, right? Oops! And part of the reason we are doing this is because we are not adding anything to thicken it. it's going to be thickened by the ingredients that are already part of the dish. So this is going to go in here, and I'm going to just listen. It's literally blending, and it's leaving texture. It's not making it super smooth. You know, chowder is not supposed to be super smooth. So I'm blending like literally like half of it. And there you go. Just that quickly, we are done. Now, never fear, if you don't have an immersion blender, there's nothing wrong with you using a regular blender. What I would suggest you do is you take out maybe a third of it, of the soup, the chowder mixture, put it in your blender, blend it, and then pour it back into the pot. Do not blend the whole thing because you want some texture. You want a little bit of different, feels in there. So now that I've done that, I'm going to add my plant milk. We've got about a half a cup here. I've used oat milk. You can use, and I got a full fat oat milk from Oatly that I really love. It's really rich and delicious. You can also use coconut milk if you'd like to. You can use soy milk. Any plant milk works. And then I'm going to use my 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, and I love this because it really adds a beautiful, warm flavor to it. If you don't like smoky things, you won't like it, then omit it. You just use regular paprika. But I love what it does. So now, after you've done that, you're going to let it cook a little while longer. And I'm going to prepare for my plating. I love to have something fresh and green on my dishes. I just think it just adds a nice little touch to it. So I'm just gonna cut a little bit of scallion to go right on top. And this is going to come to a boil, but let me show you what the finished result looks like. So this is what the finished, let's see, can you all see that? Let me try to get a little closer. After it's cooked for a while, this is what it's going to look like. Can you see that, folk? Okay, I hope so. Let's go back here. Be sure to take out the bay leaf and the thyme. By the way, when you're blending, you do not want to blend the bay leaf. The thyme is one thing, but bay leaf, no. You're going to take that out, or make sure it's to the side before you blend it. And we are going to serve it up. I love this chowder. It comes together so quickly. It's so yummy. And we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of scallion across the top. And there you have it. I'm going to try to give you all a close-up of this soup. I'm going to hover over the bowl because earlier I tried to turn it towards you all and I made a mess. So that is the finished product. Zucchini Corn Chowder. It stands with some of the creamiest soups chowders that I've had. I've had chowders. Yay, Lori. Hey, Lori. I have had chowders that are full of cream, full of fat, full of butter. This definitely goes neck and neck with them. Can you all see me clearly? Let me taste this. This is so good. This is delicious. I don't know if you all can see me. Something weird is going on in here tonight. Oh, now you can see me. But this is so good. Zucchini corn chowder. We've got zucchini, carrots, corn, onions, garlic, fresh thyme, a bay leaf, vegetable broth, and just a little bit of plant milk. This is a tasty way to retrain your palate. We have talked about that. It is not impossible to retrain your palate and to crave healthy, clean food. As we talk about food, I've shared with you all that what we really should be doing is eating food as close to its natural state as possible, as unmessed around with as possible. And why do I say that? I say that because when you eat whole foods, your body takes what it needs from it and it gets rid of the rest. I know a lot of you have grown up eating veggie meat and all these processed foods and things like that. I think those things should be eaten rarely, like rarely. There are people that eat veggie meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was never intended for that. It was supposed to be a transition product. But so many of us have gotten comfortable with it, and we feel like, well, I'm no longer eating turkey bacon, so I'm going to have some veggie bacon. For lunch, I'm no longer eating real chicken, so I'm going to have some veggie chicken. And then for dinner, I'm no longer eating real steak, so I'm going to have veggie steak. Eat the rainbow. Fill your plate with food as close to its natural state as possible, and you will see the difference. Remember, genetics load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. Let's stop pulling the trigger. Let's take better care of our bodies. We've got a new year. There's no time better than the present, and I'm talking to myself included. I'm an emotional eater, and I've been dealing with a lot of things lately, and I needed this show to remind me, first of all, cast your cares upon Him. Eating is not going to get rid of it. And secondly, I know what to do. Fuel my body with pure food. It'll take away the cloudiness of thought. You'll be more focused. You'll have more energy to get through the day and do what you have to do. So thank you so much for joining me all the way from Kenya, right here in Colorado, wherever else you all are tuning in from. Thank you for joining us this week. We will see you next week on Reclaiming Your Health. Yes, Lori, reduce your Worthington products. They're good. I actually saw a picture today that at a Costco in Tennessee, they're selling those big cans of Big Franks for $17.99. My girlfriend in Nassau said those are like $50 there. And it's so tempting, but that truly should be something that you eat once in a while. It's just not best for us. I hope the Loma Linda and Worthington people don't come looking for me. Bye. See you all next week.